Wait, what time is it? Where are you based? Oh, nice. Is that in the evening or evening? Oh, okay. Yes, yes, that's right. So it is quite sunny. It's in the afternoon. But yeah, to kick things off, really, I watched your introductory video, and I must say, you do seem like you know exactly what you're talking about. And yeah, so it'd be very interesting to have this conversation, really. Of course. Yes.
Entire process that I've walked through with the video, right? So we have a client base starting from the individual to startup to enterprise and the unicorn across the globe, including UK. We have a fantastic client who has recommended us to one of the unicorns in France, and we do some work on a ad basis. For UK client, we do regularly, say every month, and it's a basically a consulting firm who deals with the fintech and all that. So the reason why I'm giving you the background is that we have the capability of understanding the different geography as well as the sectors that we cater to. So we mainly look at the e-commerce, fintech, SaaS, Gen AI, and many other ad hoc industries that we cater to. And the turnaround time is quicker, faster. We have access to multiple database sources. These are like a paid ones. We do a waterfall enrichment process as well. So, interesting part is that we sometimes propose clients to start with the prospect list and take it forward with the email marketing, and then at the end, LinkedIn outreach program. And when they have a calling ability or the team who could do the calling, we can pull the mobile number of the individual as well. So for example, if I have to pull the mobile number for you, I can pull it right away from my database. And I'm sure you will be somewhere in the databases, right? So the idea is the how to find the right person to reach out to offer certain sort of services. So that's where we play, and we believe that we are doing what we are doing. So far, so we have received a good
Of course.
feedback from the client, and it's a learning always.
Of course. Of course. Okay, seems like you have a full-on turnkey service. Um, so I understand you did mention you start off with like prospecting, email marketing, then the LinkedIn outreach, and then presumably the sales. Now, to give you a bit
Yeah.
of context, I'm in the renewable energy industry and looking to service my client via email marketing outreach and practically the whole full on service of prospecting, lead generation, email marketing, as well as the cold calls. Now, they particularly are solar installers as well as electric vehicle charger installers as well. Now, over the previous months, my sales acquisition process was mainly cold calling as well as utilizing Apollo, in which I understand your company uses as well. Now, with Apollo, within that sales acquisition process, where an initial, it depends on the particular campaign. Now, one particular campaign could have been we start off with a LinkedIn connection request, to a decision maker to sort of break the ice, and then followed by either a phone call or then, the emails go out. Now, I myself is not necessarily an expert at Apollo itself, but I really liked how very efficient it was, as well as just the automations. And that's ideally what I'm looking to have in place, where I'm able to then buy back my time to then probably focus more on the end process, which is ultimately the close, you see, or the appointment booking, you see. So yes, there have been a little bit of progress, I would say, with Apollo. One big booked meeting, you see, but that progress alone has shown me that the acquisition process actually works. And if I'm to actually put it in the hands of individuals like yourselves who have great experience and have been some great understanding of it, then it can be scaled, you see. So yes, ideally that's sort of where I'm at with this, really.
Fantastic. So I just add something here. When you mentioned that you start the LinkedIn, I'll do it the other way.
Yes, exactly. Yes.
So the first step that I would like to see is more focused towards the ideal customer profile. Okay. Once my prospect list is absolutely as I'm expecting, then there is a channel through which you would like to outreach. The first channel why I use the email. If you look at LinkedIn, Facebook, Instagram, they're the superbly best distribution platform. It's like I'm building my home at your land. And tomorrow, Trail says, hey, Jamil, thank you very much. Could you please lose all your activity that you are doing this? So LinkedIn can block you. Instagram can suspend you. Twitter can say, thank you very much. Facebook can, I don't need you. Right?
Yes.
So they have that authority. YouTube equally. They have all those authority in that.
That's true. Yes.
So therefore, why do we look at the prospect list? Because you want to build your own little bit of domain authority yourself by saying that, hey, I'm trying to reach out to you over the email, just to make sure that we build the rapport of who we are. It's a cold outreach. So some of them will say, hey, thank you very much, I'm not interested. Some of them will say, hey, I'm liking it. Why don't you send me the newsletter continuously? I get updated about what you do. So my view is that first attempt should always be what you have for yourself. You can't go and build LinkedIn for yourself, right? So therefore, you have to rely on the LinkedIn. But the first thing is that as a company, we should always be in a position to build a large volume of the email list, which can be updated over a period of time by different types of the content that you can start sending, so that should not look like a spam. Okay, people want to, like, for example, I don't know how many thousands of the subscription I have in one email. I just browse through to learn about what's happening around. The first step is to build the prospect list. The second step is to have email marketing software, not Apollo. Apollo is good for data enrichment or data prospect list sourcing, but they may not necessarily good for email marketing.
Just a quick one.
So if you do not have the budget constraints, then you should have MailChimp or otherwise similar to MailChimp or any other email marketing tool, because that gives you a lot of analytics, templates, and different types of the automation that you can go through. So that is something I always recommend.
All right, and on your end, you provide. How is the email marketing software covered? Is that something you provide, or you expect the client to sort of?
So the way it works that you subscribe email marketing software platform for yourself, because this is going to be your asset.
Of course.
Because if you subscribe, then it stays with us. It doesn't make sense, right? So you subscribe for the plan for a certain number of contacts that you want to reach out to. So for example, if you're reaching out for 2,500 contacts, not the email, the contacts, and then you can send 10,000 emails to them. That is where you will target the email marketing platform like MailChimp or Zoho Campaign or many others, right? That's one piece. Apollo, you can find an information, but not necessarily all the information that you have in the Apollo is accurate or is outdated.
We previously got
So you have a multiple sources. And therefore, if it is missing on the Apollo, I will find it in
It
the
would have been
Zoom.
seafood,
Zoom
freeze
info.
lighting, something like that.
So that's where we come into as an
Open
email marketing
international
agency, where we say we have the prospect list ready. We can put it into the email marketing platform, like anyone that you choose. And then we create the email copies, which will be approved by you. And then the automation flow as to how somebody will react to your email campaign. And accordingly, the automation workflow will send different types of email copies to them. And call to action will happen as they're setting up the Calendly. And then we go into the call. Now, here is a catch. Once you do it, we have a history. If you look at our profile, you'll find minimum 60% and above is the open rate.
Let me think.
Then the click rate is almost 10 to 15%. And then the call rate is almost 2 to 3%, which is a significant number if you increase the volume. So if you are a first time email marketing, doing email marketing for the first time, then you should have a domain, multiple domains and multiple emails with the one signature that you would like to be there and there everywhere. So that anybody who is receiving warm email will be there. And most importantly, every email is hitting into inbox, not into the spam. The moment I start doing it in 1,000 on the first day, it will directly go to the spam. So essentially, I'm trying to give you a sense that what channel you should be using first in order to see the response. And once somebody clicks, we will go and find their LinkedIn and get connected with the LinkedIn, saying that, hey, we tried reaching out over the email, because everybody is not active on a daily basis on the LinkedIn. But once they connect, they stay with you forever. And there, you can start building a newsletter separate about your industry, so you become a thought leader and you keep building that relationship, which can give you the leads for the world. Last but not the least, my view is I'm a very aggressive sales guy. Until I make a 50 call in 90 days, nothing will work. It's all a waste of exercise. So in 90 days, you should be in a position to make 50 calls to that particular lead. Until he says, thank you very much, guy. I'm not interested. And if I'm interested, I'm just running after. You know?
Of course.
So the way we can help you, if you have Apollo event, we have a 5-10 database sources. We will first draft the ICP, because I could see you have an EV category also, like electrical vehicle. That's why he was talking about, and this is a climate or renewable side of it. So solar panel installation and all of that, right? So it's not getting momentum in UK or maybe Europe, because you can source the light from the other's roof, which is renting out the business complexes. You know, you don't need to install it at your own home. You can install it at the business houses, and they can give you the electricity or whatever you are looking for. So we can create the prospect list, we can do the email marketing, we can do the LinkedIn outreach in one combined package. Whatever you have in mind, we are ready to do it.
I see. Okay.
Or separately, if you're just looking for the prospect list, it is also okay with us.
Yeah, ideally a full turnkey process, and ideally trying to mainly work around B2B. You know, B2B, that's, as you know, that's where most money is, you know, so that will make my clients happy, that will make us happy as well. Let's see here. Right. Okay, so how do you sort of talk me through onboarding? Let's say, all right, Jamil, you know, great conversation. Next steps going forward from this conversation here. What am I to expect in terms of just onboarding, in terms of your costs as an agency, be it, you know, with that particular process of just prospecting, email marketing? Yeah, pretty much.
Fantastic. So onboarding, we like to do a fixed contract over the Upwork as the contract to start. And I understand every time you would not be available on the Upworks. If you use Slack, we will connect with you over the Slack for a prompt action, because, you know, when we start setting up the email infrastructure, we would need a lot of verification codes.
Of course.
You know, so that you can verify all of that. So onboarding is pretty simple. That we will connect you over the Slack. Over the Slack, I will ask you a few details in terms of email marketing software that you have subscribed. We can suggest you to start with anyone like a MailChimp or Zoho Campaign or any other which you believe is convenient in terms of your subscription pricing. But my view is that more or less every platform will give you two things. That either somebody will give the large number of contacts and they will reduce the feature of using the workflow automation, etc. So you need to choose only two things. One, the contact list and the workflow automation has to be such in advance that we can use the way we want to use it. These are the only two features that you have to keep in mind. So MailChimp or Zoho Campaign, once you subscribe with the free trial, and then we progress it with the the standard or maybe professional, and that can give you somewhere plus $30 per month. And my suggestion is that keep it as a monthly billing, and minimum you should target it for 3 months, because by that time you will have a better understanding where we are heading towards. And I'll give you one classic example as a case study. We have been building an email list for one of the e-commerce enabler in Belgium, and we have done it for 7 to 8 months. We have almost 100,000 plus emails for them, and they have won 50 clients. Today I had a call with them.
Wow.
Initially they were at 33 clients, they added 17 more. And their sales cycle was about 29 days.
Wow. Nice.
So you can understand the quality of the prospect list that we provide, though they did the email campaign themselves. So that's something, it was their internal process, they wanted to set it up. Though we have given a lot of input around by looking at their smartlead.io kind of email marketing software, which is popular in Europe. So in terms of the cost, it's very simple, pretty simple, by adding the prospect plus email and the LinkedIn outreach. If I separate it, it will be a costly, but if you combine it, it becomes relevant in terms of price. So if you look at 1,200 contacts that we would like to pull straight, I'm not even saying 1,000, 900, 800, 1,200 is standard. And this 1,200 prospect list with email and LinkedIn outreach will happen in a month's time for 15% per day, because otherwise your LinkedIn will be blocked, and I don't want that to happen. And 15 into 22 makes you 300. So almost those who will click on your email campaign, we will prefer to add them as a top priority with ad note. And that ad note will be given by us, approved by you. And then rest of the people will be added under the ad note, ad without note. So they are low priority, but the high priority will go, because LinkedIn will also start asking you for the money. So we don't want you to spend all everywhere, right? So that's how we will be doing almost 300 to 400 roughly, if it allows us, if there is no hiccup in terms of getting banned by the LinkedIn. So that would be the LinkedIn connects that we will do. Email marketing, of course, as many as possible, because we have any number of emails we will send, but limited to 1,200 contacts as the prospect list. So once the prospect list is ready, we get into the email marketing. And once email marketing starts, we'll start adding the people on the LinkedIn profile. And it will go for a month. And monthly package, I'll just put it in very simple, $999. And if you commit for 3 months, we'll give you 10 to 20% discount. 10% certainly it comes into, but if you commit beyond 3 months, then we can see where we head. But 10% I can offer. So let's put it this way: if you commit for 3 months, $800 per month.
Right. And what's the first initial cost?
Nothing. It's combined of all.
Combined.
We'll say that put it combined. We'll put it as a 2 tranche.
And how much is that? How much is that in dollars?
$400 and $400, 2 tranches. Total $800.
Okay. And that would be prospecting, email marketing, LinkedIn.
Absolutely.
Right. And if it was to be prospecting and just the email marketing?
Let's say we can deduct $100, but I would recommend you to go with the LinkedIn. It's very useful. We are doing it for one Mexican client for real estate business, and he's seeing results. We have done it for many others, and we have noticed in because in the LinkedIn we just don't add. We will have a message ready. Once somebody gets added, accepts it, we start sending that message also. So it's like why I'm putting the LinkedIn letter, because they will understand at least we have received the email. They will recognize for a first place. They're not like, oh, I don't know this person, you know. But in case you don't want LinkedIn, this is okay. So we'll reduce $100 out of that.
Right. And then if it was just the email marketing, how would that look then?
It will only 500. I'm giving you the very standard prices. The fact that it has a very less scope of negotiation. Why? Because you will realize that the guy is putting the right kind of pricing. If you look at entire internet of the Upwork, you'll find a lot of different price points. But one of the things that you'll notice is that who is delivering as commitment by saying, even if the prospect list email gets bounced, we will not charge you. We'll replace it without any cost. Because we believe that 100% verified curated list, not
So
like just by pulling the Apollo.
So let's say from these 1,200 contacts, ideally you're basically saying if any one of those does bounce, but it's going to be multiple emails sent to the 1,200 contacts anyways. But you're saying if any does bounce, ideally you would replace it with another prospect.
Yes, of course. And by the way, why it happens? Because of two reasons. Apollo has 3 types of information within the email. They call it as a valid, invalid, and
Yes.
accept all.
Yeah.
So invalid is invalid, valid is valid, accept all is the ones we are not sure whether it's a valid or invalid.
Yes.
Yeah. So we do a 0 bounce, unbounce, debounce to verify the emails. So it's additional cost. Whereas Apollo, despite being a valid, it is valid for that company that they have. What if you have changed the job? So the email would have changed, right?
Of
That's
course.
not updated. So
Of
somebody
course.
has to verify. So if I don't verify, then your sender score will be impacted, and all emails through your email would go into spam. So why I'm giving you this detailed explanation is to justify the pricing that we have quoted.
Of course. Of course. Okay. And regarding the LinkedIn connections, because from my understanding, I don't think for example, let's say a company has, and this is very consistent in, be it a solar, a company where it has multiple decision makers. So you can't necessarily target one individual or send a connection request to one individual, let alone a campaign really. But talking to, your targeting or how you sort of work around these big corporations that do have multiple C-suite individuals, and ultimately to even get to the appointment setting, it is quite a round of individuals, decision makers that you sort of have to go around. So how do you sort of go about that one?
So
Really?
this is exactly has been the case in the UK client, who is a consulting firm.
That's right. Yes.
So what they do, they work with Monzo, they work with TransferWise, and so on and so forth.
Mm-hmm.
So if you have to reach out of that size of a company, we have to put it as a demographic. And that too, the C-suite level would be considered as a sponsor. The head of the different departments will be considered as a target buyer, and the manager and above would be influencer, which means per company, we should have minimum 3 contacts at 3 different levels. So if you are a small company, targeting small company with a 50 employee or 200 employee, probably you can still go and talk to the CEO because he's the one who will be taking most of the decision.
Of course.
But if you're talking to a Microsoft CEO Satya will not talk to us because he has no business with the department that the department head would
Of
be dealing
course.
with,
Mm-hmm.
right? So therefore, we will go for the VP, head, director of the department. And if there is a hierarchy within the department, for example, solar renewable, I'll give you a classic example of the solar company. The solar company A has the vice president business development, vice president partnership and alliances, and the head and director of the same department. So my view is that you should reach out to the head of the department and then drill down effect, top bottom approach. So if the director of the particular department or a head of the particular department transfer the email or send the email to others, it gets more, looked at with the more interest that he has referred, let me see what it is. That's one way that you can choose one. But you may say that I'm more keen to reach out to few of them, see who is responding. And I will not reach out to the CEO of the large company. I'll not reach out to the manager of these company. But what if there is a designation that you're looking for is not available in the company, then we do a proxy designation to find out. So not necessarily the VP development could be available in a particular renewable company, but it may be available in some other company, right? So you will have to see who is the most closest person that you would like to target. So that kind of a level of prospecting we do, which is why I said that for waterfall enrichment helps using the multiple databases, including the Apple.
Got you on there. And then in terms of domain health, right? Domain health and just using multiple mailboxes that are attached to the same domain, without sort of hurting the domain reputation.
No. So I'll put it this way. You have abc.com.
Yes.
And you have as a main domain. Then we put the abc.org.app. whatever it is. Those domain will be redirected to the main domain. So anybody who looks at the subdomain, they will be redirected to the main domain. So they will understand it is coming from the right person, number one. Number two, if you look at from the number of emails that you're targeting from each of the subdomains, you will have a proper designation for each one of them. So your name, let us say, and then the same other person with a different hierarchy email signature. So it looks like three different people using the three different domains attached to the main domain. It gives you a sense that there is a large number of employees who is reaching out for the business purposes. That's one way.
So it wouldn't be an individual, it wouldn't be an individual, like say an individual name that's coming, it would be the company name, would you say? Company name and then .io per se, and then the other one would be probably .co.com, that sort of thing. What would this signature sort of look like then?
No, so that's what I'm saying. So even if you have a one person under the subdomain, it is also okay. Even if you are not multiple people, only one person with the subdomain, but the subdomain is directed to the main domain. And everybody knows that, if we go with the main domain, it is impacted and the reputation of the main domain will be get affected, which we don't want. Because the subdomain, you can always crash it.
I see. So so an individual is not going to see the same subdomain twice, per se.
No. So it's like this. Try at abc.org as a subdomain. Is sending an email, but reply to will come in the main domain.abtc. Because it is up to you where you want the reply to come.
Of course.
Right? Because you have multiple emails, but you want only one email that should receive the response from all the people that you are targeting. So therefore, you will start interacting with them through the reply email. So your reply email should say the main domain.
How about that perception of then we are bigger than what we are, if it's the same signature and same name? If my name is just the same one, the same signature, do I ideally then have to say to put in a name of my VA or that sort of thing, or can it just be my name, that sort of thing? Or
your name is enough, but what happens? Let us say you are a founder. The first mail went through the founder email. The second email would come as a VA. So VA would say, "Hey, my founder has reached out to you, and therefore I'm following it up." That's one way of communication. Let's reverse it. The VA has started the first email by saying that my founder has discussed about your company in a meeting, and that intrigued me to reach out to you. That sounds more like, okay, they have researched about us. You understand? In both the scenario, whatever email signature is there, it will remain same. Your signature at subdomain, your signature at main domain will remain same. It's identical. And therefore, there will be no confusion for a recipient to understand whether who has sent it to me. Because ultimately, the subdomain is redirected to the main domain.
Got you.
There are certain do's and don'ts and best practices for email marketing. And what we believe is to make sure that it looks like a personalized email. I don't like to see so I will write it from the AI, but I don't sound like AI. I will humanize it. You know?
Right, and you guys pretty much sort out the copywriting side of things, of the emails, the outreach emails.
So when we write it, we'll create a copy of flow. What will be the first email? If somebody responds, what will be the response to email? What if somebody doesn't respond? What will be the email? And then follow-up emails. We'll share these copies to you. You will see, oh, I understand this is good. Once you approve it, we'll put it into the email marketing software.
So how do you integrate your efforts with, say, my appointment setter, or say, for example, like the example I was using with Apollo, where it's a task list, it's a workflow, right? And there's the email first, outreach email, and then followed by a phone call, and then followed by another email, and then followed by a phone call. How would your agencies pretty much integrate that, or that particular sales acquisition efforts? You see.
So therefore, while we are constructing the automation of the workflow, we can simply say, in the first email, if you're sending, like I said, the two examples. In the first email, if the VA is sending as a reference from the founder, his email is going on, right? But if somebody responds back with the same email, we will ensure that the same person should be able to respond back. You understand? So the reply email is important because you should define who should reply to the email that is coming to you as a response. Do you want a one-on-one? It's just like a one person with a different name, but it comes to only one email because you can't check 5 different emails. You understand? Because there has to be 5 different emails, even if you're individual. Why? Because you have to understand that if you send it from the one email, you cannot send 1,000 emails.
Of course.
It has to be 200, less than 200 or 250 email per email account. To make sure that it's warmed up, to make sure it is not landing in spam.
Got you. And you said pretty much regarding when you're setting up workflows, do you collaborate with us in per se?
Yes.
Because it's that form of communication and integration between the person who's picking up the phone, making a touch point, and yourselves who are making an email touch point. You see?
So phone call is a stage where you will have a Calendly set up already. Then you don't need to kind of email until you say that, hey, listen, I have already finished the call. Now you have to have follow-up call for the call already made. That's where we can add a workflow. So as we progress, as we see that you have been booked by a Calendly setup for a Zoom call. Once the Zoom call is over, we'll say, hey, thank you very much for coming on the call. And, we are looking forward for your decision. In case you don't see that decision coming in, then you start sending the follow-up email again. So those are like, email sequencing within the automation. So while we are creating the entire copies, we'll give it a heading. This is the introduction email first. What if this slipped into the mind of the recipient? What would be the follow-up email? How many follow-up emails we should say until he or she responds back, right? So if they respond yes, it is okay. After 3 follow-ups, if they are not doing, just warehouse it. Simple. Click them over the newsletter. We will create a separate segment. We'll create this segment of the list and saying that, hey, this guy is good for the newsletter. He's not interested in the product.
Oh, yeah.
So once we start looking at the newsletter, probably we'll start seeing the response. And then once he responds back, we can add him again into the email campaign. And that's how it works.
And at what point do you guys add on the newsletter? Do you have any specific triggers, or is it more like it's based on behavior? Because that's also another thing, whether you guys are just practically focusing on just the standard cold outreach, or there's also those warm leads that, are you guys just quite simply touching on cold outreach?
See, I'll tell you something. Let me finish this newsletter, please. Newsletter is something like I would like to avoid for now. Why? Because until we see the cold outreach, because our objective is to sell right now. Newsletter is when you have the content already ready and you have to just add the emails. If you don't have the content ready for the newsletter, we should not try it. We should first get the newsletter ready and then do what is required. This is more like a content writing, a different stuff altogether, right? Understanding the business and all that. While the other piece is that, warm lead. So there is a buyer intent based leads also. For example, let us say in your abc.com, we can put some kind of a script, which is paid script, which you can subscribe. And anybody after running a campaign, or maybe before running the campaign, if anybody visits on your website, that particular person who has visited and looked at different pages, we can say that this is a warm lead for us. Why? Because they have some interest, that's why they're exploring your website. But that is called inbound traffic.
Of course.
Whereas I'm talking right now is the outbound. So outbound content, buyer intent would be also there, but there are different types of paid database. It will be pretty expensive because we'll have to explicitly subscribe that Bombara, lead 411. There are many. I can keep on counting. So these are like very super pages, which I don't recommend first time email marketing campaign, because until and unless you have the subject like a 3 platform that you have, you shouldn't be trying that because that's expensive. If you have the budget, then you can start. But if you have a limited budget, then you should focus on the cold outreach, then LinkedIn, and then phone call. These are the ones where you make money, then put that into a buyer intent related content or the paid database tools, etc. In Apollo also you will have it, but not necessarily everything is gonna work, to be honest.
Of course. Then I was going to ask on what was that? Right. So B2B, okay. Do you have any clients you've had in the renewable energy or solar or that sort of thing?
About the previous client?
Yes. Have you worked with any previous clients in the renewable energy or in
the solar? No. In the solar, no. To be honest, no. But yes, for e-commerce, fintech, Gen AI, SaaS, we are doing regularly. So the office which I'm sitting in right now, look at, they are a $70 million funded company, a portfolio company of Square, and many others. So we have been building the prospect list for them. We have contributed a little bit of the email marketing side as well, because they have in-house team as well. So they are doing pretty much good because the size is big. They are like a 400 employee plus, based in Bay Area and India. So we have a fair understanding of all the tools, almost 48 tools that we have hands-on. Because every tool will have a different style, but the basic structure remains same, right? Klaviyo is for e-commerce, so we go for the e-commerce company, so we suggest Klaviyo. And then if it is for coaching or marketing agency, GHP is there, go high level. So we suggest all of that. MailChimp is standard for all. So
you have mentioned MailChimp quite a lot. I'm starting to think you're an affiliate of MailChimp. So
No, I'm not. I'm not. Why? The reason why I'm doing this, because MailChimp is a senior company, and the kind of automation they have brought in the different plans. However, I'm very fond of an Indian company called Zoho Campus. Because this is the bootstrap company. In 22 years, they have built a $1 billion company
wow,
as a revenue, not as a valuation, but as a revenue, by the way.
email marketing software.
Software. And they have 40 plus products within that. That's why I keep naming them. Because you can integrate multiple things together. Like the CRM can be integrated with these.
Is that you said it's Indian based?
India based, yeah.
Which one is that one? Soulgap.
Zoho. Z-O-H-O.
Oh, Zoho. Wow, wow, I did not know that. I've heard of them, but the 1 billion revenue in 2 years is insane. Not valuation, that's
20 plus years old company.
wow. And would they be
So
more e-com, or would they also fall into service-based business to business?
B2B, yes, of course, for all size of the companies. See, the reason multiple times I've mentioned about the MailChimp, that when I started my career, that point in time also I used MailChimp. Okay. When I'm running my show, even then I am doing the same. But the only difference you'll find, it's a little bit expensive, but with a lot of other features. So therefore I've mentioned a couple of things. Let's say instantly.ai,
Yes.
smartly.io, Lamelyst. I keep on giving you the names for the European market. Okay. And then see whatever works in your favor. We can do anything, because we know we need to take only 1 or 2 hours to understand the platform and do the needful. Because it's just the entire process we understand very well.
Okay.
It's just like the driving, but you can give me any motorbike, I can start driving.
Of course. And see, this industry is quite it's a long sales process. Like it's a long sales acquisition process where it could ideally take a while. So how do you, if I'm a client, how do you support someone like myself and you understand that this is a long sales acquisition process, and even be it whether it's operations on your end, or be it whether it's the charge that you're charging me, because if something is going to take a good 6 to 12 months to close.
No, I'll tell you. Actually, this is why I said 90 days is the first batch. In case you don't see a success in 90 days, then 2 things can happen. 1, then in the second month, we should review everything to make sure the third month should give you what it's looking for. However, we try to see that, and please understand, if I give you a bifurcation of the costing now and the price that I've come to as a conclusion, you'll realize that, since you're using Apollo, you'll realize this, 20 cents into 1200 makes it 240 straight. Okay? It's the subside one. However, it should be more expensive for all other databases. And I'm taking an average. 500 email marketing campaign is about 4 weeks for $125, which makes you 500, right? 740. And then you have taken a 300 plus, makes it 140. 1040. I made it as a 999. After giving a discount of 10%, let's say 800. And combination of all of this is a manpower of 3 types of people getting engaged. One is the email marketing expert. One is a prospect list creation expert. The third one is a LinkedIn outreach expert. The 3 people working in a project for $800. Think from that perspective. If you hire all of them separately, the cost will skyrocket.
Of course.
So my support would be that we are not money-minded guys. What we believe, excitement about, if you win more, we get more. If you don't win more, you don't get more. Put it simple. But we cannot be a friend of a horse as a grass, as we all understand. It's really difficult to grade.
Yeah.
So keeping in mind to be realistic, I'm the guy who believes in the cost plus profit kind of a pricing.
Of course.
It's a very open source world. Everything is available. It's just the quality of the service, what we are claiming. And as I said, you can check with my previous clients if they're ready to talk. But it took almost 7 to 8 months for them to win 50 clients. Consistently, they've been running this show. We were making 10,000 emails trust me, this email that we built, it will not be available on the Apollo also. That I can guarantee, because we knew how to build it.
Yeah, because ultimately it's that quality. Because yes, an $800 to a $1,200 fee can be very substantial, especially when you're kicking things off. And yeah, sure, you might try and think, well, let me break up that price and get individual, like you're saying, 3 people on a project. You might think, oh well, let me get 8 people on this price. But ideally, it all comes down to quality. If I'm paying for quality, then that's
And also you have to manage 3 people, by the way, in the 3 different time zones, the 3 different time area. So that's I'll put it very simple, that in the first month of the prospect list, once you have it, you will realize that conversion can happen once LinkedIn connection happens, and the mobile number, the moment somebody, even if not appointing, we can pull the mobile number for you and start calling them. And I would highly recommend, wherever you are located, we should be targeting that location first, which is easy to meet, talk, understand, no time zone difference, etc. So it's easier, straight away, kind of follow up multiple times and catch up with the talk. Because this UK client, she used to bring in this list with the calling for a dinner, and they used to do this business, because that's like $1 billion company business. So this is how that worked for them.
And on your end, that the first month is rolling, is sort of like a rolling fee. Did you say 3 months is sort of like a fixed? Is that a fixed in contract, or it's all flexible?
I don't believe in arresting the clients. My belief is very simple. Here we go. Make a 2 tranche of 400 each per a month. You like it, you move to the next. Again, you create the same, contract. Then next again. I don't want you to, get into a contract unnecessarily. Like when we are born free, we should not be arrested like that. So I don't believe in that. It's just that our service will make sure that you stay with us.
Because for me, I like what you said. Yeah, you don't ideally like arresting the client. And from my view, ideally, because right in front of me, I got, 2 screens, right? 2 large PC screens. And on the second screen, is maybe that email side, that's email marketing going towards LinkedIn. And the first screen is probably the prospecting. In my head, I might be thinking, well, I have all these lists and I've done the prospecting, even had my VA on it. Let me find out, if Jamil and his team can actually just maybe see, I want to ideally see what they can do with just the email marketing alone. And if I can see that with the email marketing alone, sure, there's results, but effectively, because I've provided the prospecting, it's not necessarily up to par. Now, let me per se include the prospecting. And then from there on, okay, fine. I'm confident with these guys. Let's kicking things with the LinkedIn.
Yeah, that's okay. That's okay. If you want us to only do the email marketing, I'm okay with it. I'm absolutely okay. As long as you give us a lead, we'll simply say, give me the verified prospect list. We put it into the email marketing. We run the email marketing. That is fine. Let's begin with that.
So how do you manage your parameters if I'm to give you a lead and effectively you're selling me on bounce rate and the open rate? How are you confident in your abilities if you haven't necessarily found the leads yourselves?
No, so I'll tell you something. That it's like this. That the lead that we create is based on the ICP. So we will draft the ICP, and then you run this query into the Apollo. You will export into CSV. You will export only the valid ones, the valid leads, not the accept or not the invalid ones. And that particular information, we will put it into the email marketing list, who we need to send the email to put it simple. Once the bounce happens, what we can do for you, and I'll give it compliment. Let's do it this way. whatever the number you send, I will verify without any cost, because verification charges is about 5 cents, not 5 cents, 0.5 cents. 5 cents is too much, 0.5 cents, I think, yeah. I'll have to check with the team. But that is something I can give off, and we will do the verification ourselves, so that it is whatever verified email, despite the valid email from the Apollo, we will send only those emails, so that your bounce rate will be nil. Despite that, there will be definitely less than 1%, which is industry standard. Nobody can stop it.
How long have you been doing this for? You are quite the salesman.
It's like 18 years.
Yeah.
So it's been like I coach a lot of young entrepreneurs as well.
I can certainly see that happening, because as I'm speaking to you, I'm like, I hate that I'm actually buying into this guy, but at the same time, I actually want to pay for his knowledge as well. I need to get that in my mind.
So kind of you humble. So it's just like I started my career as an investment banking analyst. We're back in 2006-07. I used to work for all US-based commercial banks. We used to do high-end research for buying and selling Apple and Google, etc. So that research piece is always in my mind. That was my first day of my career. So till date, I have been an entrepreneur myself for a startup. Then I've started the second one. I do a lot of coaching sessions to young entrepreneurs who are in the college. It's just because out of my passion to learn more. Nothing for money, but just to learn more.
No. Do you believe in work-life balance?
Of course. I mean, otherwise, whatever you may claim, it won't work.
Well, but back when you were starting off, was there any balance, or you had to go through a sprint?
See, when you're too young, you don't care about time except the fact that you're renting after your passion, and do that. So if you want to balance your work life, don't do your own entrepreneurship. Shut it down. Go travel, go do whatever you want to do. But when it's too much, then you should share. Find the right set of people, and then maybe share the burden.
Yeah, that's really where I'm sort of at, regarding this, where it's I need to touch on different things, and ultimately, the founder and I, we have a great relationship, but in order to effectively deliver on multiple things, I cannot necessarily do it as a one-man army, you see, and I can't be, I can't be selfish. Of course.
I mean, there should not be one-man show. It's like initially you will have to do everything. Everybody does. As you start going, and simultaneously people will come on and you'll keep on adding. That's how I have it. That's how everybody gets.
Of course. Now, now in terms of your knowledge, in terms of B2B, I know this might be then biased because you're providing the full-on service, but with B2B, and say from your perspective in the industry that I'm in, is it worthwhile with the structure that you have actually prescribed, where it's prospecting, email, LinkedIn, then the call, you see? And with solar, it's either you have that Zoom call or Teams call firsthand before the physical site survey, where the engineer goes on to the prospect's building and sees the feasibility of the roof, etc. So in some cases there might not be a Teams call or a Calendly need required. In some cases it's just like, oh, let's jump on the phone call and let's schedule that sort of thing. So how do you combat that on your end for myself?
It depends on who you are talking to. A guy who is 30-year-old, 25-year-old, and if they have become a decision maker with their skill, Zoom is perfectly fine.
That's true.
But
yes.
the guy who's the old school guy, you would like to say, hey, listen, give me a call. Let's catch up for coffee. Let's close the deal. If I like it, I like it. If I don't like it, let's stay in touch. That's the harsh reality, which is absolutely okay. Therefore, we said that the kind of people that we want to target to reach out is a very specific, and therefore I'm saying the price that we are putting is based on what we are building. It's just not the list. where we are thinking that this guy should respond at least out of 1,000, 50 should say, okay, I want to talk. Don't
true.
expect 800 people to say that I'm talking. No,
Impossible.
it's not gonna happen.
No, of course.
Yeah, I mean, reality is that even if you get a 1%, minimum 1%, you're on the right track.
Absolutely. That's
And if you get a 5%, like, oh, good.
Oh,
good.
that's
I need to
5%.
just focus on it.
That's bonuses for
Yeah.
everyone. It's Christmas already. Yes.
Therefore, I mentioned 2.3% as the call rate.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
Of
so
course.
that's more important. Under the funnel, you will find only 1 or 2 clients who you will win.
Okay, so moving the needle really. Just want to get this one price from you, and then I'll sort of do some decision making myself. But if it was to just be the email marketing within itself, and including that very much appreciated complimentary verification for each email, how much would that end up being really?
Seriously, just giving you the right quote for 500, which is very reasonable, because there will be engagement of one person for 4 weeks continuously, you know. And while we are doing what we are doing, sometimes you'll realize that even if I'm running the email marketing, there is an email copywriting, there is an automation. Once people start responding, there will be some kind of a review. So there is an engagement level, you know. In the prospect list, what happens, we engage in the day one if we find that the right person is on the table, and then pulling the next information. So each of these steps have a time spent, you know. So my belief is that if you really wish to do all of 3, I've already given you like the 8.
Of course.
You want to do it less? Let's do it 750. And I'm telling you the fact that even if you don't want to do and do only the email marketing campaign, my view is that if I were you, for 250 I would not. It's like you go to a movie theater, you have a $10 popcorn bag versus the $12. So you go for a $12 because in the next $2 you get more. You understand?
Yes,
That's called psychology of pricing.
Of course.
You know.
Yes, for me on my end, it's just more like working on a staged basis where I can properly assess. Of course, it'd be great to just kick things off with the 3-pronged approach. But just going back to the let me find out how best, or let me assess or get the data from just you guys pretty much doing the email marketing with the leads provided, and then from there on, ideally let's implement that in place. And then further to then the LinkedIn sort of aspect. So that's really where I'm at.
That's fine. So if you're comfortable with starting with email, I'm okay with it. As I said, I'll give you a complimentary. I love helping the first-time founders or anybody who's starting off, because this is how I get pleasure being a founder myself. Mm-hmm. So that complimentary thing I can always extend. And once we start doing email marketing campaign, probably if you change your mind, adding prospect listing also, so we can keep on adding whatever you like.
Of course, that's great. Okay, awesome. All right, yeah, that's definitely quite substantial, very nuanced information I got from yourself today, and greatly appreciate that.
Thank you very much, Renewable. So I look forward for next step whenever you want to start with us. We're always available.
Certainly. Thank you very much for your time today, Jamil.
Thank you. See you then.
Goodbye.
Bye-bye.